Hey everybody, thanks for stopping by. There's the pickup pile, lots of stuff ready for pickup, and the repair pile. We have a Stihl 036, hasn't ran in over 20 years. We have a Shindaiwa top handle that won't start. We have a Stihl MS261 that got clipped by a skid steer. We have the Stihl MS440 here for a little look over. This thing hasn't been run in a year and a half. We've got the two-man Hornet, a group of 026s and 024s, a couple new saws that are ready for pickup. So right now, we're going to have a look at this 440. I'll see you at the workbench. Hi there. Welcome back to my workbench. My name is Erica. Today in the bench, we have this Stihl MS440 chainsaw. This chainsaw was built in 2006, and it is a 71cc professional saw. The MS440 would have replaced the Stihl 044, and then the 440 was replaced with a 441, a 461, and the current model would be called a Stihl MS462. I don't see MS440s very often, especially in condition like this. This saw sits a lot. It's pulled out once in a while to cut the odd tree down, but for the most part, it does nothing but sit in its case. The man who owns this saw is 84 years old. He was born in New Zealand and lived in Russell in the Bay of Isles. That doesn't mean a whole lot to me. I'm not familiar with New Zealand, but I know I have a lot of viewers that are from there, and you probably know the exact area I'm talking about. The owner of the saw left New Zealand in 1977. He followed a girl back here to Canada. So this saw and its owner are not really a match anymore. This saw is too big, too heavy, too hard to start, but he loves the idea of owning this saw. He has no interest in getting rid of it, and I'm pretty sure he sleeps with this saw under his bed. So today, we're going to do a walk around in the saw, look at its features, just check it over, see what kind of fuel's been sitting in it for all this time. This won't be probably a long video, but I wanted to show you this while it was here because we don't see a whole lot of these. So come along with me. Let's take a closer look at this beautiful chainsaw. Well, here we are with a beautiful Stihl MS440 made in Germany. So this 440 is the Arctic version. There's the on-off switch right there. So I know in some countries you can't buy Arctic chainsaws. So when you turn this on, this handle here, this would heat up. This handle here, where your hand goes, that would heat up. And the carburetor would also heat up. I've sold Arctic saws to people before, and at first they were kind of like, is this a gimmick? You know, is this going to be any good? And then they came back and said, I love it. In the cold weather, when you're out cutting wood, even with gloves on, when these handles heat up, it is a really nice feeling on the hands. There used to be a nice Arctic sticker right here, and there isn't much left of it, as you can see. And I don't think you can buy that sticker anymore. So we're not going to do a whole lot to this saw. We're just kind of giving it just a little checkup. We're going to check out that fuel. It's been in there quite a long time, and I think it's gas station fuel. We'll pull the top cover off, check out the air filter, probably have a look down into the piston cylinder. Take it outside. We'll fire it up, and that's about it. I just couldn't let this saw leave without you guys seeing this while it was here. Oh, let's check out the fuel in this. There's lots of fuel in it. Let's just dump it out into a container. I'm starting with a clean container. Just dump the fuel out of this and see what it looks like and smells like. I don't see any water in his fuel. His fuel is clean. The tank is clean. It's mixed a little bit rich, but this fuel's been sitting in the saw for a year and a half or more. So we are going to put some fresh fuel in this. We did replace the fuel line in this saw about 5 years ago. It now has the green line in it. The saw came in 5 years ago for a look, and what we found was a mushy fuel line, the fuel filter laying in the bottom of the tank. You can see, so it was like mush in the fuel, but then once you take them out of the fuel, they just go hard as a rock. So that's what a fuel line does when it's been sitting in old fuel for a long time. So that was in really bad condition. So 5 years ago, this thing had a fuel system overhaul, fuel line, fuel filter, carb kit, even the fuel cap, O-ring, they did the same thing. Just everything that fuel had touched was in bad condition. So it's nice and clean in there. And that new fuel line looks really good. 5 years ago when we had this saw here, the fuel that we dumped out of it was orange. But he told us that what he had put in it was Stihl mix, which is blue. Does anybody know when fuel gets really, really old, does it turn orange with Stihl mix in it? I'm going to go ahead and put some fuel in the saw. I'm going to put some Stihl 50-to-1 modal mix in it. I know this saw isn't going to be used. It's going to go home and sit for another 1, 2, 3, 5 years. I don't know how long it's going to sit for, but I do not want to put pump fuel in it. I have a saw sitting on the shelf here that has this stuff in it. And this has been in it for 5 years now. And we just fire it up every couple months. We've been doing this for 5 years now, just to kind of a test to see how long this stuff lasts. We're 5 years in, and so far, good. So I think it's best this saw leave with this canned fuel in it. Just going to pull the top cover off this and take a quick look. So that is a winter air filter. This saw was built to run in Arctic conditions. This is the winter filter. That's a steel mesh. This filter is not meant to run in dusty conditions. It's meant to run in cold, snowy conditions where there isn't a lot of dust in the winter. Pull the spark plug out of this. That's a crusty spark plug. So earlier I showed you his fuel and mentioned that he mixes on the rich side. So you can see his spark plug. There's the result of that. I'll just grab my camera and we'll take a quick look down the hole. So it looks really good in the piston and cylinder. There is a carbon buildup on top of the piston, but that is partially because he mixes his fuel too rich. And this saw, it doesn't get run much. This thing is begging to be used. So let's go ahead and put a new spark plug in it. NGK BPMR 7A, gapped properly. Air filter, it was pretty clean. I just gave it a little blowing off. Let's check to make sure there's bar oil in this, and then we will step outside with it. It's right full of bar oil. I guess we will step outside with the saw, and I will see if it'll start. This saw does not have a decompression valve, and this thing hasn't ran in a year and a half. So hopefully it doesn't give me a hassle. I'll meet you out there. So this Stihl MS440 starts and runs excellent. You just seen Tyler take it out back and make a cut through a piece of Douglas fir from British Columbia. So all we did was put a fresh plug in it, and we dumped the old fuel out of it, and we put some Stihl 50-to-1 modal mix in it. The saw is going to go back into its Stihl storage capsule, and maybe we'll see it in another 5 years or so. So that's it for the Stihl MS440 that doesn't get used. I have a whole line of saws over there waiting for me. It's time for a fresh coffee and on to the next job. Thank you so much for watching.